Hey guys, Brian here from Wired to Fish. And if you look around right now, you can see it looks like it's getting cold. We've lost a lot of our leaves. We're late fall, and where I live, that means we're not too far out from ice. So this boat's gonna be going in storage for an extended period of time. And no matter where you live in the country, there's a period where a lot of folks don't go out on the water. And the process of preparing this for storage really starts while you're still on the water on a regular basis. So roughly about 2 weeks out from the end of my fishing season, I'm gonna start treating my fuel system. First and foremost, both the fuel that exists in my tank, the fuel lines, and then in the engine. So you wanna use a good fuel treatment program here. I have Seafoam Marine Pro, and this is designed to both clean the engine, burn off carbon deposits, clean injectors, add lubricity up there, as well as stabilize the fuel. As fuel sits over time, it loses ignition vapor and starts to form varnish. The other thing is too, if you have ethanol in your fuel, that's a bad thing for hoses and different connections within an engine. So a good treatment is gonna stabilize that fuel to prevent that breakdown of the fuel. The nice thing about the Seafoam product is it's 100% petroleum derived, so there is no using too much of it. You don't have to get crazy with ratio. So I got a quarter tank of fuel right now. I'm gonna dump a full can in. You can use 1 can, you can use 2 cans, you can use 5 cans. But generally speaking, those last couple outings, I'll put in a can or 2, and I'm gonna run it at a higher concentration in my fuel tank and engine and get better performance. Preventative maintenance really starts when an engine is new. If you can start a program like this at the end of each use season, you know, you can get decades of good runtime on an engine like this. Walker Smith, a colleague of mine down in Georgia, has a 20-year-old motor, 2-stroke, and it's still running really well. It's about kind of preserving your max horsepower, keeping that engine clean, well lubricated, and running smooth. And if your boat is already in storage but you missed the fuel treatment step, it's easy to accomplish anywhere you have a hose and water. Make sure you've added fuel treatment to the fuel, slide a motor flush over the water intake, turn the water on, then start the engine. Oftentimes people think that if you just stabilize the fuel in the tank, you're good to go. But that doesn't mean that the fuel within the actual engine is treated. This is where a lot of your most important connections are. And if you happen to have some ethanol within there, or you got regular premium fuel, you're gonna have some degradation of that fuel over time. So you want treated fuel in the actual engine itself. Most outboard motor maintenance schedules specify an oil and gear lube change as part of the 100-hour maintenance interval. Whether you reach 100 hours in a season or not, it's best practice to change both the engine oil and gear lube. The primary reason for this is water in the engine crankcase or gear case can happen. If this water freezes during the off-season, you're at risk for some costly repairs. Draining, then refilling both the engine oil and gear case with fresh lubricant helps to eliminate the water risk in these critical engine areas. If it's a do-it-yourself job, just be sure to follow the engine maintenance manual. One of the last things I'm gonna do is just take a look at my prop shaft. We've all had it happen to us where we get fishing line wrapped up in here, so now is just a good time at the end of the season. You wanna make sure that those seals don't get compromised into the lower unit. So I'm gonna put my little stopper on there, grab my prop wrench, and start loosening up the hub assembly. And I actually carry both of these just in my boat kit throughout the open water months, should I ever need to do this on the water. So I'm just gonna remove the prop, and look at that. That's exactly why you do that. I was totally unaware of this. And it looks like it did not go up into that assembly, but nonetheless, it was on the prop shaft. So that's exactly why you take the time to do that. Fishing line can damage the rubber prop shaft seal and allow water to enter the gear case, which can damage the gearing. Before I put it back on, I'm just gonna put a little bit of marine lubricant on there and just do a reinstall on that hub. And that's just checking your prop shaft. And in that case, I mean, that's legit. I'm glad I did that. Kind of as part of just good preventative maintenance on the engine mechanism is greasing your Zerk fittings. We've done our 100-hour maintenance here, but I'm just going to hit these Zerks too, and what that does is it forces fresh grease in, removes any old grease that could have a little bit of water buildup in it. Just good preventative maintenance to do once a year. I'm happy with that. I'll follow up with the rag just to remove that excess grease. And then I have one more right here on the steering mechanism. You can see that old grease. It's done its job over the course of the year. All right, good to go. Simple step. And to wrap up the engine, give your power trim and tilt reservoir an inspection for fluid level and condition. Top off with fresh lube if it's low. Also inspect for color. Pink or milky fluid indicates water, so there may be a leak in the system. If you run into this, have a dealer inspect the trim pump. You know, battery investments are pretty significant on a lot of boats. This particular boat has a 27 group size AGM battery in here and another 31 group size to power all the electronics, the bilge, the various pumps on this boat. And then a 36 volt trolling motor battery system up front. So in total 5 batteries. It's a lot of money. And if I take care of the batteries during the off season, they'll give me more longevity. A couple different ways you can approach batteries. This boat is equipped with a precision charger that has a sensing technology that allows me to keep my charger plugged in and then always keep those batteries topped off. So if you have the luxury of heated storage, that's the ideal conditions for the batteries. And I just literally keep them charged all year. I'll go up periodically and just look at the lights flashing. Could be outside in a pole barn, cold storage, plug it in, you're good to go. Another good way to handle batteries is to actually remove them from your boat. Top them off with distilled water, and then just use a little standalone charger and top off each individual battery, and then store them in your garage. If you live down south, they're probably plenty fine in your garage. Where I live, it gets really cold and you'll freeze your batteries. I've lost enough batteries that way to learn the hard way. I'll either put them, you know, in a basement, or in my case with a heated garage, I just keep them out on the garage slab or overhead storage. But before I do that, before I put them up, I'm just gonna top off each battery, make sure if it's lead acid, I got distilled water in there, hook up a little charger. This one's a convenient little precision charger as well. And I usually do each for an overnight period until I get a full, you know, green indicator light. You can see here it's charging. You know, take a look at your terminals too. If you see some corrosion up there, you want to clean those off with the wire brush. Use a good dielectric grease. One other thing I failed to mention earlier was phantom drains or power drains from various accessories hooked up to the boat, like electronics or networking hubs. I have a Perco switch in this boat. When I turn it off, I cut power to pretty much everything except the outboard engine. If your boat is wired properly, your onboard charger will still supply power to these batteries. Putting boats into storage clean and dry reduces chances of damage due to rodents or damage caused by freezing water. Start by giving the exterior a thorough cleaning. It's always nice to start this season with a clean boat. For the interior, I remove all contents and vacuum and hand wash each storage compartment with mild dish soap. Again, clean compartments and a few dryer sheets keep rodents at bay as well as mold and mildew. Drying is a critical final step. Place a high power fan over the aft porthole and open up some bow storage to allow air to circulate and dry out the lower hull. This also dries out your bilge pump and electrical components that may be in contact with water. I then position fans topside to dry out any remaining water or moisture in storage compartments and decking. Lastly, store your outboard in the down position to drain any residual water that may be in the cooling system.